What's going on, guys? Rockley AC here, back again with another video. I know it's been a very long time, some crazy stuff in the last couple months. You know what's going on. Very hard to be motivated in these trying times with no physical events happening in person and a lot of things happening online. Not really my biggest strong suit and preference. So a lot of the content lately has been kind of lacking, so I apologize. However, good news, I actually just got married recently, a couple weeks back, and I've been very busy with that, getting on with the new stage in my life and trying to settle down with things and still having the gaming experience that I go through on a daily basis. So I thank you guys for understanding, and we are right around the corner of set 11 release. And just before we do that, I wanted to bring a two-part series, a two-deck profile feature today, which will have two different decks right before we, close the season of set 10, which has been a very short one, and most of the meta has been already figured out through the online events that's been going on through multiple hosts. So shout outs to everybody who participated in those, and a lot of the decks that came out of the recent tournaments inspired these two lists. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start off with the first deck. Today I bring you guys Gotenks Ape slash Hide Mastery. One of the real reasons I wanted to play this is because of the recent unbanning of Goten and the really cool draft box slash expansion sets of the Apes that were released recently. Gotenks leader is pretty much a naturally great yellow generic leader. A lot of his effects, you attack, you're able to take a life and draw a card. And when you are at 4, you flip it over and untap 2 of your energy. So he becomes another draw 1 card when you attack. And just like the front side, if your opponent activates a extra card, you get to draw a card. So it does have a lot of hand advantage, and it's just a very good leader because it could self-awaken. And then also once per turn, when your opponent activates any extra card, you draw a card, and you choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, switch it to rest mode. So it has a little bit of built-in control there. And the bottom effect we don't really use because we're not having Union Fusion pieces, but majority of the effect is a standalone great design anyways to begin with. So starting off with the deck profile, we are running 4 Bardock Surge of Inspiration from the Championship 2020 packs. He is a great 1-cost negate, and he is there for a reason to evolve into your bigger monkey later in the game when you have it. So it is a very solid 1-drop combo if you need to, if you don't have the pieces, but it is a great card. Next, 2 Flying Nimbus. This meta technically is still dominated by things like Vegex, so you're going to need ways to at least minimize that damage. Flying Nimbus allows you to prevent that. Stuff like AOD, decks that like to go wide, that is no stranger to the game. Next is 4 Zamasu super combos. It's probably one of the best super combos in the game, and probably still will be because the ability to tap cards, if your opponent puts in play multiple cards, it just prevents them from really going super all in, and you are able to use this combo defensively in a great way. Next is 2 Full Moon from the latest set before set 11. This is essentially a free 10k if you have an ape on board, and if it's on your turn, you get to untap one of your apes. So if you don't have Planet Vegeta out or a way to untap, if your opponent's swinging, you could combo this for free for 10k defend, then untap one of your 8 blockers, and then also block for the next attack. So it's a very valuable card. You could put this up to 3. It's just this deck is very tight, and you don't want to clog your hand with too many 1Ks, which it does have a lot in this version of the deck. Next is 3 Planet Vegeta. That's your typical searcher. Untap with Ape at the end of turn, and then search. Very solid card. We are playing 3 March of the Apes. This is your nice turn 4 play, Awaken. You're going to choose 2 Great Ape cards with energy cost of 4 or less from your hand and play them, and then you get to draw 2 cards. So if unfortunately if they're able to counterplay one of your apes or anything like that, then you still get the draw 2, which is nice, but it is a hefty cost. So depending on the matchup, you might want to be a little cautious before playing it. One cooler counter. This card is a great finisher if you are going into like your Cell-Xeno play that's put in play for free. If you have all the energy to invest, which is 3, which isn't too much, and you're going all in with like a double striker or something like that, it is a great card to catch people off guard if they bounce or at least play that negate. One Furthering Destruction Champa. Just because if you want to push some damage, you want to do that. There's a lot of single strikers in this deck, so you want to be able to put out a lot of damage. Plus, it also has a ability to finish the game. It is good to have as a one-of backup. All right, so on to the High to Mastery chain. So you have 3 Successor of Hope. This deck does filter through a lot of cards, especially depending on the matchup. If your opponent is running a lot of extra cards, you could just get that draw power, and Successor of Hope just helps you with that consistency. I don't think you need more than that. Next is 3 Grandpa Gohan. He is awesome because you're able to swap into your other 2 drops, or if you're going against a defensive deck and you have no other options in your hand, he's just a nice turn 1 blocker. Cost 1, very, very strong for the opening defensive options. Next is the unbanning of the Scrambling Assault Son Goten, one of the promos from back in the day, from the original swap deck. Once it comes into play and it attacks, you reveal the top 3 cards of or you don't even have to reveal, you just look at the top 3 cards from your deck, and then you're able to choose one of them, and then the rest goes to the bottom. And that is just really awesome to deck thin your deck, and without any of the specific requirements of having it to be, you know, a specific character or color or whatnot. Very, very cool. Next are your other swap targets for Grandpa Gohan. You have 3 depending Dynamite Son Goku, and then 1 Interpret Dynasty Son Gohan. This one's up to you. The Goku can be a little bit more aggro if you need that extra 15k against like Unisons, but the barrier is also strong if you're going against a deck that doesn't have a lot of removal. It's good to have a little bit of protection depending on the matchup. Next, 3 Path to Greatness. Again, another staple for the High to Mastery. I think 3 is okay because you have draw power, you have Successor of Hope. You really just need one of these just to go off, and this allows you to do a couple more effects. Draw, rest, very strong, and that allows you to go into your big finisher, or at least one of them is High to Mastery Son Goku, has Deflect. Very hard to interact with. Triple strike, dual attack, very powerful. And then when you play this card with swap, you get to choose up to 3 cards from your opponent's battle cards or energy, ignoring barrier, and then switch them to rest mode. Super strong, and being able to tap out your opponent is really powerful. Now onto the Ape engine. We run 2 of the Great Ape from the Anniversary box. This card's pretty good. It has its lackluster interactions. However, depending again on the matchup, you could pressure your opponent with critical, and it does have blocker for the turn. So when you combo it, you could put it in play. Very cheap way to get a nice big body on board. And it is a 4 cost, so it is relevant for going into things like Cell-Xeno. Next are your Great Ape Foil Raiders of Warcry. Another great reprint from the Anniversary box. It is a very strong, powerful card. For 2, you could combo it, and then it goes into play. And then you could draw that card and rest a battle card. It is great for the offensive or defensive because it has double strike. So you could go in against like a Unison, or just trying to get your opponent from maybe 5 life to 3 life, or going all in. And again, that 4 cost is really important for the Cell-Xeno Evolve. Next are the other apes to round off the engine. You have 3 Bardock Will of Iron and 3 Great Ape Prince Vegeta. This card is amazing because you could actually play this earlier during your turn at the end of the battle. After you combo with this card, choose up to 1 of your Bardock and combo with this card. And if you guys remember, you can combo over this guy because he will evolve over that on turn 2, and you'll have a nice double striker, 20k blocker, very powerful. Or again, you could March of Apes these guys in. And then, of course, you have Great Ape Prince Vegeta. And you have a critical 20k blocker. When you combo or play, look at the top 3 cards for another ape and do your shenanigans. And of course, to round off the deck, you have probably the most broken SCR in the game, Cell-Xeno. You're able to get those apes for free, especially if you march on turn 4, or if you have like another ape already with a Bardock in play, or you have a couple more maybe Hydra Mastery packages that you don't need. 2 cost, 3 cost, where you don't have the actual card in play in your hand. Again, you're able to just evolve into the Cell-Xeno. If you have 5 energy, rip the cards out of their hand and just go for game for Quad Strike. And it is a awesome card. So there you guys have it for the Goten Hydra Mastery Apes deck. I hope you guys enjoy this one, and let's take a look at the next deck profile. Alright guys, so this is the second deck profile of the day. We are going to go with the Father, Son, Son Goku, Gohan package. Green leader, super aggro, except this one's with a little bit of twist. This was inspired by the European online tournaments, which incorporated the AOD engine. So AOD, for those who haven't followed the game in the past couple months, are from the special anniversary set. It is a new archetype that involves a lot of the agents of destruction from back in the day, with the really aggressive support that they came out with this latest series. So we're going to take a look at that. This deck can be a more mid-range versus an aggro deck, and I still think the mono green version is a little bit better, but if you want a little variety, throw your opponent off guard. If you're playing a best of 1, this is definitely something to consider and take a look at. This is my rendition of the deck. So Son Gohan, everybody know this one. It is a bane of existence. It is always in the format for a best of 1, so you always got to prepare for a super aggro deck such as this. Once per turn, you could choose 1 card in your life, add to your hand, and then when this card attacks, switch this card to active mode. And then when this card is 3 or less, you could draw 2 cards and then switch up to 1 of your energy and switch this to active mode, flip it over. So you get a lot of plays where you could just swing, restand, and get some life advantage. Next, Father, Son, Kamehameha, Son Goku, Gohan, return, reboot leader. When you attack, draw a card, activate battle once per turn. During your turn, choose 1 card in your life, place it in the drop area, and this card gets plus 10k power and triple strike for the turn. So it could pretty much pressure into lethal damage. That is the point of this deck, is to swing first couple turns and apply that extra damage. Also, activate main once per turn, switch this card to active mode, and then at the end of the turn, you lose the game. So you're pretty much going all in if you are able to, and if you think you have the right cards to win over your opponent. So let's go ahead with the deck profile. We are starting off with the negates. We have 3 Shock and Death Ball. Shock and Death Ball, I believe, is still very powerful in this meta, and I think it'll always be as long as your opponent has a weenie strategy. At the moment, for set 10, there are decks like AOD, so it's great in the matchup. Also stuff like Ginyu, where they put out a lot of 2-drop Ginyus into play for free through their effect. Being able to negate and then killing off another 2-drop or less is really strong, and you could also utilize a Sparking, so it is a always good card, I think, if they're going to be supporting cards that are 2 or less all the time. Next is the other negate, Garlic Jr. Negate the attack, play this card, and then when this card is played, you could look up to 1 Agent Destruction card with an energy cost of 2 or less other than this card from your deck and play it with its skills negated, so you're able to bring out maybe your Turles, some of the other strong cards for free, so you don't have to tap your energy for it, and you're able to get some type of board advantage over your opponent. Next, this is a blue-green variant, so it is going to be a little more unique and more heavy towards the green package. So you have the ability to do a little hand destruction in this deck while putting a lot of board in play and pressuring your opponent in unisons with your 15k attackers. You have Android 18. When you combo, your opponent has to put a card back to the bottom of their deck. And she is also good because you also have a Son Goku target later for the blue-green arrival package. Next is the Feet Kamehameha. Sorry about the extra card that I am missing. I have no idea where I put that, but it's alright. You get the idea. Playing 4 max copies because it's very good to crit your opponent. Again, the idea is to limit your opponent's hands while also putting pressure with your battle cards. So in order to do that, you need to make sure you force certain resources away from your opponent's hand, and Feet Kamehameha could do that whether you're on the offensive with the leader or on your backside. It's very powerful either way. Next, you are running 4 Sensu Beans. This allows you to be aggressive into your plays, where you could just put down multiple targets with cards like Bibbidi that minimize your cost for your AOD characters, and also defending yourself against other aggro matchups. It's just a solid card. If you're running blue, you have to run Sensu Bean. Next is one of the new cards from the special anniversary set, the Agents of Destruction Strike Back. This card gains Agent of Destruction in all areas, and then activate main, look up to 2 cards from the top of your deck, add up to 2 cards with Agent of Destruction in their name to your hand, and if you added at least one of them to your hand, you are able to also add 1 card from your life. Very powerful. You're able to potentially get 2, and then with the Bibbidi out, this makes it a free extra card that you could potentially gain +2 and then a life. Very, very amazing play if you're able to get the right setup in the beginning. And you are running 3 because you are not running a full AOD deck. You don't want to have this as a dead card later in the game. 1 double strike Champa. You have to have that double strike just in case you are going to go in for the crit or pressuring any type of thing. Again, unisons and whatnot. It's always good to have a double strike play in your arsenal. On top of that, if you're not able to get your cards in the beginning, you can double strike crit with this Son Gohan. Take a life, helps you self-awaken if you need to. Pressure what you need to pressure. And then the arrival card of your choice, going with Son Goku, Saiyans of the Earth, arrival blue-green for a blue-green. When you play this card, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 5 or less, place that in the owner's energy, and then play this card. And then your opponent has to put a card away from their hand and place it into the drop area. So super strong, 25k body. You're getting rid of a annoying card. Maybe it is a evolved target for 3 or 4 that's pretty troublesome, or a big 30k 3 cost character. It's a very solid option for removal, which this deck doesn't have the greatest, so to say, because you want to go all in with your aggressive plays. But if you need to shift to a more mid-range strategy, you're able to at least control the board and their hand with a card like that. Next is a card that is not required in the deck, but is something just in case you miss your plays, your strategies on first couple turns. You could also have Ribrian in there to pitch, warp, remove from the game, and then your opponent has to drop 2 cards. So again, it fits with the theme of kind of hand control while also putting out your board with the AOD characters. It is a solid choice if you're able to have the access to that expensive card, which will be reprinted next year. Next is the AOD package. The one that starts everything off is the Bibbidi, Bobbidi, Boo, Bobbidi character, Overseer Destruction, and the Hatchiyak, which searches for that Bobbidi because it's very important to play this on turn 1. Whether you're playing any type of AOD engine, you want to make sure you hit that and maximize that ability, and it's super strong. Allows you to play your AOD cost characters from hand, 1 cost less. Next is probably one of the better AOD characters. You're looking at Turles. Every time you swing, you look at the top 5 cards for an Agent of Destruction card and move it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. Has barrier, very hard to interact with, and also unique, so you cannot spam this. Otherwise, it'd be pretty nasty, actually, just being able to filter your deck through multiple Turles. Next is the green package that helps you with either arrival or just in general. 3 Broly. This card is amazing. With Bobbidi out, it becomes a 2-drop. When this card is played, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 5 or less, KO it. Then look at the top 3 cards from the top of your deck, add up to 1 card among them, then place the remaining in your drop area. So it is a great card to pop an opponent's threat. Again, just similar to any of the Arrival Gokus that puts a 5-drop or less in away from the board. Brawly has a similar effect where you just KO it, and then you're able to add a card, any card, essentially, to your hand. Any effect that allows you to look at the top X cards and just grab whatever card without a specific requirement or specific characteristic is very strong, and that's why we play it. Another great card is the Android 13 Agent of Destruction. I like him because he is a critical, and then again, also board removal if you're able to put him in play. Activate main, you can pay 2. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, KO it, so that has no restriction in terms of cost. Then your opponent chooses 1 card from their hand and places it in the drop area. So again, fitting with the theme, and it's critical. Combo the Android 18, and they're just losing a lot of cards in their hand, and you're just pressuring them a lot with the cards. Next is 2 Dark Temptation Toa, which I don't see a lot of people playing, but that's fair because there's other choices in the meta, but this card just really synergizes with what you're trying to do. It's a free Overwhelm for 3, which is very easy to get, especially with cards like the extra Agent of Destruction card, where you could put a couple cards in there, and then you could get card advantage to that, or just by comboing early in the game. So you could Overwhelm, they pitch a card, get a 5k boost, and it is a very strong 15k attacker on top of that. And the SCR of choice in this deck is going to be the Ape / Great Ape Mass Saiyan. This card is amazing because, well, let's take a look real quick. SCR art, for those who have not seen this. If your leader card is mono green, and you remove this card from the combo area from the game, when this card is used in a combo, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and KO it. So this is a great card if your opponent is going to try to kill you on the crackback. If for some reason you're not able to kill them turn 2, turn 3, you have an energy open or so, combo this if they're trying to go all in, trying to kill you with a double strike, triple strike, or whatever. This card really throws a lot of people off guard. Very powerful, and if you really wanted to, you could hard cast this for 5 green, but you're mostly there as the insurance policy to KO anything without barrier, anything with barrier, and just making your opponent regret their plays for going all in their combo. So there you have it. That is the father-son Goku Gohan AOD deck. I hope you guys like my version of it. Take a look at it. Play around with it, see what you guys like. Set 11 is right around the corner. We have a case opening from Mindset Gaming coming up in a couple days. Check that out, and I hope you guys support the channel. I know it's been almost 2 months, but I'm back, baby. Let's go do this, and thank you all for your support. We will see you in the next video. Peace out.